Next time I want underwear hanging on the door back there.
Underwear. We'll see what we can do.
The host is completely off the rails. Coming up next on Rugby Wrap-Up, Rooney Rooster, Matt Hughston, and Bryan Ray, America's Rugby News. Rugby Wrap-Up brought to you in part by The Balanced Palate, nutrition for peak performance, and the Pig and Whistle on West 36th Street, the world's best rugby pub. Hey everybody, welcome back to Rugby Wrap-Up. Matt McCarthy in the Fantasy Sports Network, Studio 34 in Midtown Manhattan, talking rugby, and we are talking Major League Rugby. And you got to have a Major League Rugby star with you and a Major League Rugby star pundit with you. Bryan Ray calling in from Canada, Halifax to be specific. Bryan, welcome.
Great to be here again.
He's got his Rugby Canada hat on, and Matt Hughston.
Hey, how you doing? Thanks for having me.
Good to see you, brother. And he is all the way across town from or downtown.
Yeah,
Uptown.
Harlem. Yeah, we have a good little house up in Harlem. A couple of the guys are up there. We enjoy it.
All right, so I got to ask you right out of the gate, 2 questions. Number one, if you had seen the way NOLA was playing this year, would you have left NOLA?
Yeah, that's a tough one. Definitely would have liked to have that back line they had this year. Last year, that would have helped us out a lot. But now they're playing great ball. They've had 3 tough losses in a row, but
Road.
I'm kind of glad we gave them that one.
Yeah, that was a doozy. We'll get to that in a minute. But the second question is, are you kicking yourself for missing the marketing opportunity for not playing with the SaberCats? Because then it would be Hughston.
Oh, yeah.
Hughston's Hughston?
Oh, yeah, I guess I thought about that a little bit, but I'm glad I came up to the Big Apple, and this is a good home right now for it.
Can't make it here, you can't make it anywhere.
Exactly,
right?
yeah.
All right, so speaking of not making it anywhere, Bryan Ray, do you have a question for my friend Matt Hughston?
Matt, how long have you spent looking in the mirror working on that little rooster celebration routine you pulled out on the weekend?
Oh, no, I'm finally glad I got to use it,
So Matt Hughston taking credit for it with some idiosyncratic celebration there.
I believe that's the rooster is what they're doing, the Rooney Rooster.
Found the try line finally this season, last game. But, yeah, the Roosters is kind of a thing we've come to embrace, and I guess, got to get the rooster up when you get the pay dirt.
Yeah, it was obvious to me what it was, and I'm in the booth with Steve Lewis and Alex Corbacero, and Steve was like, he's talking. That's sure what that is. I'm like, it's the rooster guy. They're roosters. So how do you not know? And Alex just looked at him, and you can't see us because we're not on camera. But Alex is like, how do you not get that? So the lizard, come on, man, come on.
Come on, lizard.
Before we get to the recap, let me just give some facts on Mr. Matt Hughston. Last year with the NOLA Gold, and prior to that, Matt, you had some rugby exposure here in the United States.
Yeah, kind of a big sevens player to start. Kind of the only way I could play a little higher level than Charlotte Rugby Club was offering, and the D2 in the South and everything. So was traveling around with like Atlantis and a couple other squads, got into the Falcons, toured with them and spent some time at the OTC. But then was with Ohio Rugby for the pro rugby, which was a great first one, and the Aviators, America's team. Yeah. I played center all my life up to that point, and the coach there, Paul Holmes and Barford, they saw
Paul Barford.
Paul Barford,
who was actually the head coach on paper. So
yeah, exactly.
I know Paul. I know both Pauls. Okay.
Oh, they're good. They're yin and yang. They're a good couple to work with. But they saw a 7 in me, and I think it's a natural fit. If you will.
What the Free Jacks?
Free Jacks are great too. I got to spend a week up there. Played in the Halifax game against the Arrows. We got worked, but it was a good experience. A great organization. Love the guys up there. They're going to be a good force coming in next year for sure.
I kind of ask a variation of this question to all the people here because we have professional rugby for the first time in the United States and we're covering it. But when you were a little youngster in North Carolina, I think it's Charlotte, right? Mm-hmm. Were you dreaming about living in a rugby house in Harlem, playing rugby professionally in New York City?
Well, no, but living at 29 years old, still playing a sport I love. I mean, what's better than that?
That's right.
I'm enjoying it.
That's right. All right, and we've got some synergy flowing here. You played in Halifax against his Arrows. He's in Halifax. He's got the Rugby Canada hat on. So let's get to the rugby. Bryan, walk us through the first one.
Yeah, actually, I was doing the call for that game in Halifax, so I remember that one very well. But our first game of the weekend was the other Hughston, the SaberCats versus Austin Elite. I think we all picked Hughston to win this one based on what we've seen, and they certainly delivered. They look strong. They look energized. Interesting game. We had two fullbacks playing scrum half, but didn't mess around too much with how it went. Jamison, Fatanana, Schultz, couple tries. The big number 8 for Hughston. He's been impressive since he joined the team. And Threaten Palamo, the big fella in the midfield. 2 tries for him. He ran some nice hard lines. So good win for the SaberCats. And really a feel-good story at the end of their campaign.
Yeah, and Matty, you got Joshua Vithi back, and you got him moved to center now with Palamo in that back line.
I like that pairing, actually. They looked a lot better moving the ball and actually having some attacking threats. I thought they were looking good.
Are you glad you got them just when the coaching change was made and not now?
Yeah, I'm good friends with Threaten, and I'm glad we got them early for sure. He's a force.
Yeah, so and you know what else? It's amazing how much a facility can change when grass actually takes root. I mean, now it's a spectacular setup. It's a spectacular facility down there. So Hughston SaberCats fans have a ton to look forward to. And, it's a question of what could have been almost. You're looking at these guys and you're like, wow, okay, they're a force to be reckoned with going into the future, right? But we're still talking in the past. So the next one up, there was a game here in New York City you had a pretty good seat at. Rugby United New York versus NOLA, New Orleans, Louisiana. The battle of the 4-letter acronym teams. Think about the marketing possibilities. RUNY versus NOLA. You with me, Ray?
I got it. Yeah, the acronyms indeed. Yeah, that was quite an exciting. I mean, you guys were both there in person. You know this better than I do.
I just want your opinion on the acronym thing. I want getting this as a marketing coup. I think it's great, right? No. All right. Anyway, this one was chock full of exciting plays. It was chock full of controversial plays, and it was chock full of catastrophic errors at inopportune times by both sides that you'd think that neither one were going to recover from until the other one made a catastrophic error.
Yeah, it was definitely an awesome game to play in, but the last couple seconds were intense. It was a hot one out there. It was a grind for sure.
Yeah, and you as I said, you had the best seat in the house playing openside flank. You poked one into the try zone through a crowd, which is the forte of your team when you guys are going well, doing that driving ball thing and then just getting close, wearing him down, and getting it in. Yeah. And that was textbook. And Bryan, we had this alternate style of play by these two teams. It was like the old-time NFC East smash mouth football versus the wide-open West Coast offense, right?
Oh, yeah, exactly.
And you saw spurts of it.
Yeah, no, and that's how we knew how they wanted to play wide and fast, and we knew we had a little stronger pack, and we believe that it's the source of our power. So, we're going to match up with every team like that, and, defense is key.
All right, 2 questions I have for you. Was it held up the first try?
I think I scored.
I thought you scored.
I touched the line, but Cam Dallen was actually on the underside of it, and we were talking about this after, and he punched the ball backwards. So when the ref saw it, it was actually out of my hand behind my arm. So I didn't get the credit for it, but I thought I was on it.
I thought you were on it too. And then the penalty try, which if he didn't call the penalty try, we'd have to walk Peaches Mike Petrie off a ledge because it kind of bobbled there diving in.
Those are tough though, when the scrum finally gives and it goes million. I had one of those in Austin that I couldn't get in there, so I know it's a tricky feat, but I'm glad we got that penalty.
All right, and speaking of penalties, I want to ask him first and then get your opinion. Did you think the yellow card was warranted on Tristan Blewett? And or should it have been a red?
I mean, I listened to the commentary. It was kind of a split decision. I thought definitely a yellow card. I thought maybe Luke Hume got a little lucky to get away with a warning, maybe something in there. But, I think yellow card's probably fair. He didn't dump him on his head per se, so it just looked like a scuffle that went a little too far.
And it was shocking at the dinner afterwards. I was talking to Tristan Blewett about it, the guilty party. He says, I didn't do anything. Okay, I respect that. But I kind of thought that, I told him I thought it was a yellow.
Yeah, I agree. I thought it was a yellow. I mean, Tristan's a great player and he's very aggressive. So, that stuff will tend to happen. The pitch, I saw a picture of it after the game and it looks like it's a red card. But I agree with it. Play on. Of course, I was at the bottom of a ruck. I didn't even see it happen. So
the other thing is the last play of the game, which was the most mind-boggling play I have ever seen. But I'm doing the play-by-play, and we are far away. It's a baseball stadium, and we're sitting behind home plate. Because we're kind of far away, we're relying on a monitor. And it was just about to wind down. I go to look at the game clock that's with us, and as I look, I see the ball careening downfield, and I'm like, they just got a kick downfield, and it wasn't a kick by the opposition. It was a kick by poor Mike Petrie trying to get it into touch to end the match.
Yeah, I think we had Kyle Assumption on there, and he had the golden boot to finally get it out. But yeah,
and the wherewithal to be downfield with Foden. Now Tristan blew it, maintains that was a penalty.
Yeah, I thought I forgot who it was. I think it was Mike Sinclair. He had a very good ruck to hold it down, but it was very hairy, very hairy.
Borderline. So you had this roller coaster ride next to a bunch of roller coasters, but what an unbelievable finish, an unbelievable match. And before we leave that match, I just wanted to do something that we didn't do in the booth and we were supposed to, but we goofed. Somebody stole our teleprompter. But I want to salute the folks from the New Jersey rugby community. As per our friend of the show, James Kennedy, and owner of Rugby United New York, there was a big special event prior to the game, and there's a bunch of people there, honoring. You had Rugby United New York's under-20s playing against the Brooklyn Rugby Club, and you had a whole representation from New Jersey Rugby. So I just want to go through, and I just want to give these salutes to these folks. KJ Fury and Rugby New Jersey, with congratulations to the high school state champs. You had the D2 Bergen Barbarians, the D1 Union Mud Turtles. These are great names. The single school winners, St. Augustine. And, of course, honorable mention to the teams that just came up short. You had the Bridgewater Panthers, the Jersey Shore Sharks, and Della Barton. So kudos to you guys. And sorry we didn't get that plug in during the broadcast. Stay with us as we take a quick break. We'll be right back talking more Major League Rugby with Mr. Bryan Ray and Mr. Matt Hughston right after this.
Been blind since I was 4. And I've never seen a beer commercial or a beer label. None of that stuff influences me. I drink beer because of the taste. And my beer is Pabst Blue Ribbon. It has the taste and the flavor.
What do you think's on the label?
I think there's a naked woman riding on a unicorn, jumping over fire. Oh, that's good beer.
If you're in New York City and want to watch some great rugby, have some great food, and some great times, go to the world's best rugby pub, the Pig and Whistle on West 36th Street.
Hey, welcome to our stoop. This is our brownstone here in Harlem. Welcome.
You guys hanging out? You standing there?
We like to hang on the stoop.
You're not sitting down, though?
It's a bit wet. No, too wet today.
Tid wet.
Patty, too wet to sit, Patty?
Yeah, too wet to sit. A bit cold to stand as well.
Hey, everybody, we are back at the Fantasy Sports Network Studio 34 in Midtown Manhattan talking rugby with Mr. Matt Hughston, star flanker and male model for Rugby United New York, and Mr. Bryan Ray, male model of Halifax. Here. Anyway, the next one. Take us through it.
Toronto Arrows, those are my guys. I believe I picked them to win decisively, and they certainly delivered. Gaston Mieres, the Uruguayan fullback, just on fire in that first half. 2 awesome individual tries. He was just cutting them to ribbons, and that early try in the second half from Andrew Ferguson, you could just see the body language of Glendale's shoulders, heads dropped, and that was over. And that's the season for Glendale. They got, they're out of the playoffs, the finalists from last year. They just didn't have it this year. Toronto blazing a trail to the playoffs, 1 to go. I'm pretty confident, but I think there's a good team on the other side of the pitch. I don't know. You might know about them.
But the thing is, as this league wears on, you got players that are unavailable for injury, and I think that you guys are going to probably be without Patty Ryan and Luke Hume right out of the gate, right? Yeah. So,
if we can't have those guys, it's definitely a blow. But, our front row options are unbelievable. Chance coming in as well.
Yeah. All right, so your arrows, hashtag arrows up, as they say, as Dallen Stanford said on the broadcast. And by the way, Dallen, see this shirt? You don't have to work for CBS to get a shirt like this, okay? You and same shirt, Pete Steinberg.
I kind of feel like I need to get on that shirt train. Yeah, pretty wild game. Seattle versus Utah at home, Starfire Stadium. I think everybody picked Seattle to win that one, and they just kind of went through these wild mood swings during the match. They started really quickly, scored a try, and then let Utah back into it, and the scrum picked up a score, and then at the end they settled for the tie, knowing that they needed the points for the playoffs. But what a weird match, and I wouldn't be very happy if I was the Seawolves coming out of that one with that performance.
Matt, what's your take on Utah right now?
They're a very explosive team. I mean, what hurts them sometimes is discipline to their structure. They seem to can't always put the pressure on consistently, but when they're on, they are very tough. They're very explosive.
Is fitness, because it seems like the last 20 minutes of a match are their enemy for like 2 years? Or is it?
Maybe. I mean, it's hard to say. I'm not sure about that. Sometimes those Polynesian guys don't like to do the fitness all the time, but they're extremely talented.
He's on his own for that one, folks.
Yeah.
Completely. Bryan and I want to distance ourselves as the two older guys. We just know that. But that's good. This is sweeps week.
Yeah, that's right. That's right. No, I'm just trying to get under their skin. No, I mean, like I said, Utah, they have the pieces. Very explosive, but it's just a consistency on their performances.
And, Josh Whippy showed what he can do with that great intercept, and maybe he's a sign of what's to come for them as well. So maybe they got some good things to look forward to coming next season too. But Seattle, man, how do you tie in that match? If you desperately needed that win, you're at home.
That's a tough one.
Bryan, you got 2 cents on that one?
Yeah, I mean, I can understand their thinking at the end, but there's a bit of time left. I wouldn't have faulted them for kicking to the corner either, but you're right. It's just the performance. The second half they just barely scraped through. They didn't finish when they needed to. There had to be more urgency in that team, and there just wasn't. And they're lucky they got Austin, who haven't won a game all season, coming up. But geez, I was pretty disappointed overall with their performance. The only guy I will say who looked a little bit better this week was Samu Manoa, who, as his fitness grows, he's getting a little bit more into it. He didn't play the whole match, but he did a little bit better. Won a key turnover in that first half, so he's sort of peaking at the right time this season.
He blasted me one time. That man hurts. Yeah, he's a big man.
Let's talk about what's ahead of us now, because it's the last week of season 2. It couldn't be any crazier. Four teams tied with 53 points. Unbelievable. So Bryan, Hughston going into Utah.
That's right, going for their second win. Well, I guess it'll be the third win in a week, since they've won 2 in a row before that, 4 in a row at the end of the season. Getting that Wednesday win over Glendale, pretty impressive stuff from them. Can they get it again for interim coach Paul Emmerich?
But having to play on the road away is not going to be easy.
No, that's right. And Utah are going to be tough at home. Obviously, they want to end their season on a high as well. So that's going to be a good battle. You have to like Houston's momentum, though. That feel-good factor for them, I just think, gives them that little bit of an edge. And, as we've said already, Utah just haven't been able to put together an 80-minute performance yet. So I'm going to lean towards Hughston in this one.
How tough is it as a player to go from a home game on a Wednesday to then go on the road into the altitude of Utah?
I think the tougher is the quicker turnaround. I've never truly found the altitude to be that difficult. I mean, it's
a little bit of a.
I mean, you feel it, but it's not game changing. But how tough these games are, they're very physical, very fast. So the quick turnaround stuff.
The next one up, RUNY at Toronto, which we are very familiar with both sides.
Yeah, I'm pretty familiar with that one.
Who are you picking in the RUNY at Toronto, Bryan?
Well, I don't know. Can you guess who I might be going to this one? Some Canadian. What is he going to pick in this one?
You got to stop thinking with your heart and start thinking with your head.
That's right.
I think Toronto's on a roll. I can't pick against them at this point. I think it's going to be really, really close. So this is going to be a great game. Really looking forward to that one.
All right, well, I'm the hypocrite of hypocrites. I'm picking with my heart, and I'm picking RUNY. Why? Not just because he's doing the rooster here for us, but because, I just have that feeling. I don't know. Call me crazy. All right, and then, Bryan, we have NOLA, a desperate NOLA, going into San Diego.
Yeah, wow. There's those two huge games to watch on Sunday, and this is a really close one to call. I like both teams. I didn't think NOLA would drop 3 in a row, but hey, New York put it on them. So they're in a really tough spot now. San Diego has just been on fire this season. They're in first place for a reason. At home, I'm finding it hard to pick against San Diego at home. I like them, but I think it'll be close. I think NOLA will get some bonus points. I think it's going to be one of those mathematical things, figuring out who goes in the playoffs at the end of the evening. What
does San Diego have to lose if they lose this match? Could they lose home field advantage?
Well, that's the risk. They have a 4-point lead. So, if another team picks up, say New York wins in Toronto and they get the bonus point, that's 5 points. Bam, they're in first place. And well, obviously San Diego would have to lose to NOLA. So, it's not all, coasting time for San Diego either. They're still risking that home field advantage in the playoffs. So certainly something to play for them.
Matty, who do you think is going to win that match?
No, it's a tough one, but I'm gonna have to go with San Diego. They're playing really good right now,
and they'll want to win that one.
Yeah, exactly.
And they're at home.
And they got the rest too. So
Austin at Seattle. Seattle, you'd think that these 2 games to end the season would have been it for them. Track meets, scoring all these tries, getting bonus points galore, and now they've got a tie against Utah, and coming in is a snake-bit Austin team. And if they could get a miracle of a win here, that would give their fan base something to look forward to. You think they got a shot?
A team with nothing to lose is a very dangerous team. Both times we played Austin, that was one of the toughest matches we've had this season. I mean, they got nothing to lose. They have big ball carriers. They just don't have
huge pack.
Yeah, I mean, monsters in there. But it's just the consistency. And I mean, honestly, they've been so close. So I mean, they're obviously playing, with nothing to lose. So I mean, it's gonna be a tough one for Seattle, but let's go Austin.
So when you're in tight and you're in the trenches with these guys, do you ever just start kicking yourself in the head for saying, why did I leave the back line when I got Samu, Manoas and all these other guys?
Oh, yeah, sometimes. There's no better play.
Kane, Thompson and Hubert Buydens just banging away.
They're all teddy bears.
They're all teddy bears. Hubert Buydens was a British Columbia, BC Lions 6th-round draft choice out of Saskatoon and Saskatchewan University. Isn't that right, Mr. Ray?
You've got your facts straight on that one. He's a big man. He's Hubert, gentle giant.
Yeah, and I said, so what happened to your nose? Because he's wearing this cut. He's got this cut right across his nose, and I'm like, what happened? He goes, I go, what happened? He goes, what are you talking about? Like, you got a big cut on your nose. Oh, I've had that the whole season. As a prop should, right?
Yeah, exactly.
All right, so on that note, my friends, we are out of time. Our executive producer is giving us the heave-ho. On behalf of Mr. Matt Hughston of Rugby United New York and Mr. Bryan Ray of America's Rugby News, I'm Matt McCarthy. More Rugby Wrap-Up from the Fantasy Sports Network Studio 34 in New York City, signing off.